Hello, this video is meant to praise a writer I like named P.J. O'Rourke, and he was a fantastic writer, and he was also a former writing teacher of mine. I took a short little class he taught many a year ago, and when he passed away, I went back and started rereading a lot of his books, rereading some of his journalism, his war correspondence from Give War a Chance, a book on economics called Eat the Rich, and also just his collection of essays called Thrown Under the Omnibus. And that's just a collection of all his writings from his life. So if you pick something up, you're probably best with this, but it's a big honker of 800 something pages. But anyways, why am I still thinking about P.J. O'Rourke? Because he was just such a striking person when I knew him, and he seems like a little goofball. And even if you watch him on YouTube, you watch him on Bill Maher or any of these shows, he seemed like a chucklehead. So I didn't fully know him when I signed up for his class, but it was striking how different he was in person versus on TV. And the man seems like a comedian, but he wasn't a comedian. He was a writer. He was a witty comic writer, but he was more than that, because he was and thought of himself as a war correspondent, as a travel writer. Eyewitness accounts of mankind's struggle against tyranny, injustice, and alcohol-free beer. Hallelujah. Anyways, that was interesting. Just how different he was. He also really transformed through his life. If anybody wants an example of how much humans are capable of changing themselves, when he was a teenager, Google image pictures of him when he was a young 60s hippie, and he became this sort of, I don't know, dapper, almost gentlemanly, dandy type, like his influenced by Tom Wolfe and Hunter S. Thompson in this tradition of gonzo writing almost, and he became a conservative libertarian right-wing author from his left-wing hippie roots, and but that's almost, his politics is almost a sideshow. I know he wrote things like "Don't vote; it just encourages the bastards," but I just wanted to stress, like, humans are capable of incredible levels of transformation, and he represents that. And also, this came about watching some old interviews with him. This man, when he writes, he has a persona. So he doesn't really write in his own honest voice. He's almost got a character when he writes. And I thought that was interesting. Some writers have a pseudonym, and some writers have a persona. If you watch his interviews with, I don't know, 60 Minutes or something boring like that, this guy just asked him, "Are you being honest when you write? Do you mean what you say?" And he's like, "Well, I exaggerate. I have a persona." P.J. O'Rourke's almost like a character. I just think it was interesting to realize that when you think about him as a great stylist. And, even though I really like him, something bothers me. I've noticed a real meanness to his writing. And mean in the way that H.L. Mencken could be mean. Mean in a way that Christopher Hitchens could be mean. And that's always, made me feel uncomfortable. But I like when writers can make you feel uncomfortable in interesting ways. And even if you disagree with them, they stick somehow. I don't think I could be mean in that way. But he saw himself as like a spectator, a ringside spectator in like a circus, and he's just watching the comedy happen. It's almost, I like that line, spectating the comedy. Some philosopher said that once. But, nowadays journalisms pick sides, and they're participants in the circus show. This guy's, he calls out the right as much as the left. And then, I'll credit writer Rob Long, the guy who wrote Cheers, for this next observation. What is it that made him a good writer? He did interesting things, he went interesting places, and he wrote about them. And he's a travel writer, so let's zoom in here. If you think about Give War a Chance as a book, it stood out because he's covering the death of communism. He's in Europe when the Cold War is coming to an end. This is my great title, Hunting the Virtuous and How to Clean and Skin Them. And then if you flip the page, he's there for the Persian Gulf War here in Iraq. And he's documenting these wars. Talk about my favorite one in this book is A Serious Problem, which I might flip to here. But if you want to know what it was like when the Cold War came to an end, this is some of the best stuff you'll ever see. And the best thing about our victory is the way we did it. Not just with ICBMs and Green Berets and aid to the Contras. Those things were important. But in the end, we beat them with Levi 501 jeans. 72 years of communist indoctrination and propaganda was drowned out by a 3-ounce Sony Walkman. A huge totalitarian system with all its tanks and guns, gulag camps, secret police has been brought to its knees because nobody wants to wear Bulgarian shoes. That's a great line. They may have had soldiers and the warheads and the fine-sounding ideology that suckered the college students and nitwit third-worlders, but we had all the fun. Now they're lunch, and we're number 1 on the planet. It made me want to do a little sack dance right there in the Cold War. In the Cold War's end zone. We're the best. We're the greatest. The only undefeated socioeconomic system in the league. I want to get up on the wall and really rub it in. Taste the ash heap of history, you bullshit nosewipes. But there was nobody to jeer at. Everyone over there was in West Berlin watching Paula Abdul videos. That's such an important document to recognize at the end of the Cold War. That culture, we were so busy having fun at the late 80s, early 90s, so absorbed in culture, we didn't even take time to realize what had just happened. We beat them with Levi 501 jeans. This is really stunning that this writer's walking through, watching the Berlin Wall come down, and nobody cares. It's almost haunting. So I really loved reading Give War a Chance. It's not really a pro-war book. Eat the Rich, I didn't like as much, but it's got some great stuff. The engine of existence is fueled by just a few things. Unglazed pottery is not among them. But I will say one thing I loved about this is this beginning. I had one fundamental question about economics. Why do some places prosper and thrive while others just suck? It's not a matter of brains. And here I'll just say he's got an opening question. Why are some places rich and others poor? And the whole book is his investigation to try and answer this question. This is something I like to think. Most people, they ask the question, but then they don't make the effort at full discovery. He actually goes out there and makes the effort at full discovery, tries to answer his own question. And then lastly, I'll talk briefly. This book is so much fun. And he collected all of his writings from the years. And it starts with these manners. What are manners? And it's just hysterical. In the early 80s, he's writing this. And what was it? Good manners are a combination of intelligence education, taste, and style mixed together so that you don't need any of those things. It's marvelous writing. Anyways, he's joking from this persona, but it makes you think. Like, some people, their manners make them seem more intelligent, more educated, more tasteful, more stylish, but they might not have any of those things. It's full of mockery. And then I'll also say this was a paragraph I really liked here. A hat should be taken off when you greet a lady and left off for the rest of your life. Nothing looks more stupid than a hat. When you put on a hat, you are surrendering to the same urge that makes children wear mouse ears at Disney World or drunks wear lampshades at parties. Wearing a hat implies that you are bald if you are a man, and that your hair is dirty if you are a woman. Every style of hat is identified with some form of undesirable. A derby is a corrupt ward healer. A fedora is a male model. A top hat, a rich bum. A pillbox, Kennedy wife, etc. Anyways, a hat should only be worn if you are employed as a baseball player or hunting ducks in the rain. One other thing that stood out to me was he was wearing a hat when he came in, like one of those old Irish Ivy, sort of Irish drinking song hats. Speaking of drinking, a malt does more than Milton can to justify God's ways to man. Great lines of poetry, which are scattered throughout here. He was a great lover of poetry. But I will say some final remarks here about PJ is, I will hope I can find it. Greek myths, he updated them. 12 romances from the Hellenic Golden Age turned into a dozen stories about great love. So Apollo and Daphne, Io, let's zoom back out here, Hero, Diana, Pygmalion, Orpheus and Eurydice, Penelope's suitors, Echo and Narcissus, Pyramus and Thisbe. So this is just a brilliant idea where he took all these from the ancient world and updated it for the modern world. Orpheus was the son of Apollo and muse of the car stereo. A cool and logical analysis of the bicycle menace. Now, it's a joke, it's an anti-bicycle argument, but he makes it really well. Principal arguments. Bicycles are childish, bicycles are undignified, and then he backs it up. And by the end, you're thinking, bicycles are un-American. He's joking. We are a nation that worships speed and power, and for good reason. Without power, we would still be a part of England, and everybody would be out of work. If it weren't for speed, it would take us months to fly to LA, get involved in the movie business, and become rich and famous. Bicycles are too slow. They belong in Czechoslovakia. Yeah. So he didn't take anything too seriously. Getting back to my favorite P.J. O'Rourke essay, A Serious Problem, page 87. Seriousness is stupidity sent to college. Hemingway was just a tourist watching Spaniards tease farm animals. And he thinks we have a problem as a society. People are always trying to be too serious all the time and can't relax. Can't be whimsical, can't be funny, can't be frivolous, can't be playful. And I think when I think of P.J. O'Rourke and what he stood for, what his life represented, it's a call to be more frivolous, more playful, more unimportant, and to hunt the people who seem so important.